Live? Live? I think we're
Live.
live. Yes, we are live. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Amir Zen, and today we are joined with Jacob Yunus, a Christian Palestinian-American conservative Republican, and we are going to be having a very unique conversation about angles on the Israel-Palestine conflict that you may not have heard before. So stay tuned for the next few hours to probably learn some pretty awesome stuff. Jacob, how you doing? I'm doing fantastic. So Jacob Yunus, aka Jacob the Jeweler, is somebody who has a special outlook on this Israel-Palestine conflict, and I wanted to just share that with the world. And Jacob, if you could just give me a little background about yourself, your Palestinian background, how you and your family ended up in America, your Christian background. There are a lot of intersectionalities of identities going on here. So give us a little introduction.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Using your platform to speak about the Palestinian situation going on right now in Gaza. And just to give you a little heads up about myself. My two parents are both Christian Palestinian families from the Holy Land, and both basically escaped the wars, both families at different times. My parents actually met here. It's if it wasn't for the escape of Palestine on both sides, I guess you say I wouldn't be here, but it's a little sad to kind of put it together like that. My mother was born in Jerusalem. My father was born on the other side of the Middle East due to the conflict. And they met here in Los Angeles. I was raised out here. I'm a proud American. I have a beautiful fiance, and we are living in great Christian values right here in the middle of Los Angeles. And I have a unique perspective on what's happening because I could relate. I have family back home, a family that have lived there, and we have live situational perspectives to let the world know, because it's not what you're going to hear on everyday media.
So let the world know. What do you think that they are missing out on to start in this conversation that's going on with this very dualistic Israel and Palestine conflict?
Well, a lot of people are really
dualistic in mainstream thought, not in reality. Dualistic in mainstream thought, as we see, there are other thoughts.
Well, a lot of people coming into this conflict on October 7th. This conflict goes a lot further than that in history, all the way back to 1948. People in Palestine have been experiencing occupation, have been experiencing apartheid, no different than what used to go on in South Africa. It is complete apartheid over there. And
some could argue it's worse even than what South Africa was.
100%. I'm just trying to paint a picture that people who have no idea could try to relate. So if you had any sympathy for what was happening in South Africa, apartheid, what is so different than what's happening in Palestine right now? And it's been happening for 75 years.
And just like in South Africa, when that was happening, it was a split mindset in America about where America should stand on that. And eventually America took more clear stances, and that era is now over.
Right. I really feel like we're building up to that. Um, I carry my Christian values with me everywhere I go. When people hear I'm Palestinian, they they can't. You can see the glitch in their face. They're like, "Wait a second, you're not Muslim?" And people don't even know that we exist. First of all, and that's it's pretty sad. Um, Letting the people know that Christians are some of the original followers of Jesus, Christian Palestinians in that area. We have some of the most rooted ties to the land, yet we've been so dehumanized since October 7th. So, coming into this thing on October 7th, we've been so dehumanized as a person, as a people. And when you ask me, let the world know what is so unique about the Palestinian people, my perspective, I mean, it's really the Palestinian people are actually beautiful, loving people. Um, we used to live side by side with the Hebrews and the Jews in complete peace. Um, Politics and propaganda and nationalist ideologies come into play, and you start to see the dismantling of that brotherhood between amongst Jews and Arabs. And it's very unfortunate this generation doesn't get to see any of that. But there are people that are still alive today that can attest to the peace between Jews and Arabs in the area.
Yeah, can you expand on that a little? Say on the history of that brotherhood that you're talking about prior to Zionism coming into that land in the 19th, 20th centuries?
Well, you know, Palestine was a colony of Great Britain at the time, and with no real sovereignty, there was no need for an army. There was no need for it was the Holy Land.
And this was after World War I, when the Ottoman Empire essentially disappeared because they were on the losing side, and the British came in and essentially took that over
Correct. And you have what was called the Balfour Declaration
in
in
1917.
that was what really basically handed the colony of Palestine over to the Jewish people. And we welcomed them over in complete peace, with open arms. They came down on rusted boats with signs on the boats, saying, "We have nowhere to go. Please take us." And as nice and as kind as we are, we welcomed them all, not knowing what was to lie ahead.
And at the same time that your ancestors were welcoming them, Americans were rejecting Jewish European refugees who were trying to get away from the Nazis, and many of them were rejected.
Yeah, all over Europe, everywhere. I think they were trying. I heard they were trying to actually give them like a piece of like Albania or something, and that was rejected. And like the final solution was, oh, let's just send them over on boats to Palestine.
Yes, that is an important part of this, is that eventually, and it seemed like that was what the Zionists wanted, was the Jewish homeland in Palestine. And the
Correct.
Balfour Declaration, I believe, was what declared in Palestine. And that was essentially one of the promises God.
Correct. that the Great Britain is what really kind of signed it off, you know. No different than what Puerto Rico is to the United States, you know, imagine. So they just signed it off, and they came down on boats and militarized them, gave them all the tools they needed to take over absolute power of the region very quickly. And in the fashion and the manner that it was done was almost as bad as what you're seeing today happen in Gaza.
Can you explain that, the fashion and the manner that it was done in?
The settlers came village after village, just murdering and pillaging and just taking over town after town.
And are you talking about before 1947, 1948, or are you
No,
talking about Nakba?
this is Nakba.
Yeah, okay, so that's
Yeah,
1948, and
yeah.
that was the first mass ethnic
Exodus.
cleansing, essentially, of
Correct.
the Palestinian community that was there at that time. And it's important to note that at the same time that the Israelis celebrate Independence Day, Palestinians celebrate the catastrophe, which is what Nakba translates to.
Correct. And even today, you hear Israelis chant, "This is Nakba number 2. This is our
I've been seeing
second."
that a lot. That's pretty messed up. That's
Yeah,
not a lot of self-awareness on those statements, you know.
yeah. It's I just don't know how a country can get away with as much as they do. Um, People say, "Why don't the Palestinians leave? Why are they fighting for their land? Why does Hamas exist?" There's so many layers to this story to unpack. It's really 75 years of occupation. Um, and if you want to sum it up in one little podcast, you're not going to be able to do it one live. You won't be able to do it. But to shed a little light, I think the best thing to do is to shed a little light on the current living circumstances for Palestinians in the area. Not too many people know what those are. And I feel like if the American public got a chance to really see what the day-to-day life is for a Palestinian uh, in Gaza or in the West Bank, because those are two different lives. Let's just be honest here. Uh,
Right, and your family is from,
the West Bank, Ramallah, a little village called Taiba, small Christian village.
and see that's so important to know, that I see that in the American media they keep referring to this as the Israel Hamas conflict, and I feel like that is propaganda used to essentially erase and ignore every other group that is also feeling the same brunt of the Israeli government as the Muslims are there.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
not everybody, and there are the different factions, right, in Palestine, and they're always having debates within each other as well, and having disagreements and elections that change different the ways that the governments are moving. So that's a very important thing to know, is that that's why I keep saying it's the Israel and Palestine conflict. This is not the Israel and Hamas conflict. Even on October 7th, Hamas was not the only military group that went into Israel. It was a coalition of different Palestinian militia groups that came together during October 7th.
correct. And these are everyday kids that grew up with nothing to live for. You have each kid's probably lost numerous family members to the occupation. Either has been displaced or his home has been demolished. You could only oppress and corner any type of people for so long before they become radicalized. You can do this. You can do what Israel's doing to the Palestinian for the last 75 years. You can do that to any culture anywhere. They will find a way to become radical, and you will see an uprising. You will see a revolt. You will see a resistance. There will be some sort of resistance, 100%. And people ask me all the time, do you condemn what happened on October 7th? Look, of course I condemn the killing of innocent people. No one wants to see innocent people die. Let's just start with that, okay? But let's also give some context here when we're asking these questions. When people support the Warsaw Uprising, which was when the Jews were pushed into those ghettos, and very similar situation, irony is insane. It blows my mind. Pushed into these ghettos where there's like chains and fences and they can't get out. There was an uprising there. They broke the fences. They killed soldiers. They killed innocent people. They killed civilians in order to revolt, in order to escape. So
yeah, that was the Warsaw Uprising in 1944 during World War II.
And that they were heroes for that. This was sympathized.
To this day, that's what we learned in our history books, right? The Warsaw Uprising. We learn about that. I remember learning about that in history in school when I was younger.
When I was a kid and I found this story out, I literally felt so bad for them. I was like, man, I can't believe they went through that. It's horrible for anyone to go through. This isn't like a hate thing, you know? I mean, I got plenty of Jewish friends, good people, you know? It's if you're gonna support the Warsaw Uprising and you're all for the liberation of people and you're all for that, then you should definitely look into the details of the liberation of the Palestinian people. It's been painted as this Hamas wants to exterminate all Christians and Jews from the area. This is what I'm hearing, and that couldn't be further from the truth. If Israel made the decision to lift the siege, give Palestinian equal rights, and they could live side by side with Israelis in complete peace and equality, you would see no Hamas. Hamas is a direct product of apartheid. Hamas is a direct product of the occupation. Okay? Hamas didn't start till the 80s. Palestinians have been getting displaced, murdered, and living under a brutal apartheid regime since 40 after
yeah
48.
It's important to note that, right, that Hamas was founded, I believe, 1987, and this conflict existed long before Hamas existed. And that's why I was saying earlier that when they say the Israel-Hamas conflict, that just simplifies it down for propaganda purposes to help divide and conquer easier, in my view.
You know, there's no Hamas in the West Bank. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. Why do Palestinians continue to get murdered there? Why do the Palestinians in the West Bank not have the same rights as Israelis do? You know, in the West Bank, Palestinians have a special license plate on their cars so that they can be easily identified.
So
And,
wait, can you
and
can you expand on that, please? Because as you know, I don't think other people know when you say that how distinct the law is when you're Jewish and when you're Palestinian, say living in the West Bank.
living in the West Bank as a Palestinian,
Doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian or anything else, right?
you are subject to checkpoints and subject to not being able to walk or drive down certain streets. Literally,
You
Palestinians.
can't drive down certain streets because you're Palestinian. Is that what you just said?
Exactly. That's exactly what I just said. If you are Palestinian, there are certain streets that you cannot walk down or drive down. How do you define that? This is apartheid. And there we can go down the list of instances that occur in the daily life of a Palestinian that absolutely scream apartheid. This has been going on for years. And not only are they subjected to the apartheid, the land that they are continuing to live on is shrinking. I tell everybody, open up a map of Palestine in before 48, open one up in 48, open one up after 76, open one up in 95. You'll see the territory of Palestinians shrinking, and they're so spread out from each other. It's like scrambled. If I drive a few miles in one direction, I could be exiting Palestinian territory, going into Israeli settlements, and then just to go around the corner to another Palestinian territory.
And let me ask you, if you're Jewish there, could you drive everywhere you wanted to, or do they have restrictions as well?
They can go anywhere. They'll tell you that they don't go down certain places because they're afraid for their lives.
But they can legally do it.
They could legally do it. And not only
Oh,
that,
okay.
Palestinians have a different form of identification. The ID card that they carry is different.
And if let me ask you this, if you wanted to become an Israeli citizen officially as a Palestinian, that's extremely difficult as well too. Is that correct? Because I keep hearing one of the arguments I hear is that they'll say, well, look at all these Palestinians that are Israeli citizens and they're living equal lives under Israel in Israel with an Israeli citizenship. But if you wanted to do that, wouldn't it be extremely difficult for the average Palestinian, even if they did want to do that?
Some of them have work permits and they have special privileges to be in those areas, but you know what? They've given up a lot. If they dare to even speak against or say anything in relations to free Palestine or the liberation of their people, they would be treated the same. These people have a livelihood. They're doing things in those areas, and they're concentrated in small areas too. They're not everywhere. Don't think that they have a free right to go wherever they please on the Israeli side neither. Um, it's a difficult situation for them
So,
there
so
as
when they
well.
say why don't they leave, would it be correct to say that even if they do want to leave, they literally cannot
You know,
in the West Bank, even in the West Bank?
in the West Bank, it's not that they cannot leave. I mean, they can leave if they want to. They're not going to
Very
leave.
difficult at times, right?
Yeah, some people, this is all they have. For some people, they've inherited these homes for generations. If they pick up and leave, they literally have nowhere to go. You know, I've been fortunate that my parents and my grandparents have had the luxuries to immigrate over to the United States when things got rough. You know, my mother came here when she was just a few years old.
And
Uh,
around what year was that when your family came over here?
my mother, on my mother's side, I know she was here after about 68, 69.
1968, 1969.
Yeah, my mom was very young when she got here.
So before Hamas existed.
Before Hamas existed.
And they were refugees decades before Hamas existed, right?
You got that absolutely correct.
So can you explain the reason that your family had to leave? Like, what were those instances that got them to flee Palestine, essentially, and become refugees?
You know, during all the war that was going on over there, you know, a lot of Palestinians went over to Jordan, and you know, some went to other countries. On my father's side, they actually went to Jordan. We have a house there, businesses there still to this day.
And Jordan is the single biggest host of Palestinian refugees on the planet today. So in the American media right now, there's this repeated talking point that says, why doesn't Jordan take them in? Why doesn't Jordan take them in? It's like, dude, they've already taken over 2 million in. So, you know, how many more are they,
You know, people are asking that question, and I don't think we're getting any definite answers. I haven't heard any reason why they're not taking them in. If you ask me, my opinion, is that America has these countries by the balls.
Yeah, like Egypt, for example, as well. Egypt moves with American policy. Like, hey, you want your money? You want your money? You're gonna do what we say, all right?
They're gonna listen. I mean, the Blinken was in Jordan meeting with them almost right away. You know,
hey, this is so funny. You know what somebody just said in the comments? Okay, this just turned into a leftist propaganda cast. LOL. Peace, y'all. Good luck with the pod. Bro, it's so funny.
Yeah. Little does he know, as furthest thing away from the left as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and while we're talking about the left, I don't want to give them too much airtime, but you know, this whole people get it confused. I'd, with respect, but I do not. I'd like to say keep the Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ, keep that out of Free Palestine. I mean, they're trying to piggyback off of a real subject. This is 75 years of oppression. Thousands of people have been murdered for this cause, have died for this cause. People have been displaced on this cause. So when I see that, I don't condone it. Okay, a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you're for Free Palestine, or you must be liberal." That is not the case.
That's the divide and conquer that they keep using. They're recycling the same war propaganda, rinse and repeat. They say if you're on this side, you're on the left. If you're on that side, you're now on the right. And they don't allow for nuances in the conversation. And that's what we're trying to do here right now, is show that there are so many different nuances in this conversation that when they are discussed freely and that information can be shared, it can actually help come up with more efficient solutions. However, unfortunately, what we're finding out is that in government policies like American foreign policy, it seems like specific politicians enjoy the cycling of war and continuing the divide and conquer to continue those policies. So we're sitting here saying, oh, you know, we could find these solutions, but in reality, the policy is not based to find a solution.
Correct. A solution does not help the Israeli agenda. You know, Israel does not want peace. It does not fit their agenda. If think about it, it's very simple. If we had peace, if we had real peace, and we diminished Hamas, right? Let's say there's no more Hamas, we have peace, right? What does that mean? That means that Israel has to give up land because you're going to have to give the Palestinians their own state. So Israel's going to have to give up land. Israel doesn't want to give up. Israel's not going to give up land. And if you have war, Israel gets to continue their expansion of settlements. Perpetual war in the area keeps Israel taking more and more land from the Palestinians. This is what this is about. This is exactly, without war, they can't go into Gaza. They can't do what they want. Did you see there's like a meme going around of like, it's like there's an amusement park in place of Gaza. And it's going everywhere where all these Israeli Zionists are commenting saying this is what we're going to build when we flatten Gaza. And
I saw one that had a Halloween store in place of Gaza. I'm like, yo, man, I'm joking about genocide. I'm a memer, man. You know, I'm a daily memer, and I joke about things, and I'm like, man, that's harsh. But it shows, you know, because the way I look at war and violence, for example, are not in with the lens of hate, right? When you even with your enemies, you know, you should try very hard to get yourself into a mindset where you're not letting that hate just cloud how your policy works, you know. So all right, let me we got some stuff in the chat here right now. If you're watching this right now, please like this video, leave your comment, let me know what you think about this conversation and this topic. We are streaming on Rumble, Twitter, and some other platforms. Shout out to Rumble. I am going to get to 1 million followers on Rumble, and we're also streaming on YouTube as well and some other platforms. So if you can share this video with your friends if you're gaining some value from it. Also, before we continue, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, which happens to be myself. That is Specker. And you can check out Specker at speckerhealth.com. Check out the products to help optimize your health. And you could also check out the new Specker Health Assessment that you can take for free. And also check out the new Specker Health, Specker Library that has summaries of scientific studies about ingredients, health, and lifestyle. All at speckerhealth.com. So shout out to Specker for sponsoring this video, aka me. And Jacob, you also have a pretty epic business yourself too. Would you like to let people know what that is and what you do?
Yeah, thanks. It's all in the handle. Thanks to my followers for checking in. I see you guys. Thanks, Sal, for the amazing informative comments you're leaving. And yeah, my business is Jacoub the Jeweler. I like to make fine pieces of jewelry. It's been a big passion of mine for quite a few years now. I've studied diamonds. I graduated from the Gemological Institute of America. I have a diamond grading degree from there, and I do custom manufacturing. I like to specialize in bridal pieces. It's a big part of my business, and I enjoy what I do. I'm a part of a very special moment in people's lives. They're getting married, and it's amazing to see everybody taking those steps. And I'm right there. I get married pretty soon. I just made my own ring, and if you need one, I'll make one for you too, Amir.
God willing, one day.
God willing. Yeah. So, you know, my my parents came here when they were really young, and my mother helped my grandmother work. They used to sell Levi's jeans in the swap meet when they first got here. Make ends meet. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she was a hustler. I think I get half my hustle from my grandmother. Um, and they did pretty well for themselves. Um, a- as uh, as a single Palestinian mother living in America, she did amazing. Um,
And actually, we have a comment here that says, damn, I didn't know Palestinians were being oppressed like that. And asks, I'm more curious to why there can't be any sort of sharing territories. That may be too deep of talk, though. Didn't
it
know Jordan was housing Palestinians either. Uh, so, yeah, you see, these are very important
right.
things, you know?
So they to kind of touch on that, uh, the Palestinians, Jordan took a lot of Palestinians in, and a lot of them went to South America too. I have actually Palestinian relatives that living in Guatemala and Chile,
Dude, the
straight from
president of El Salvador is Palestinian background, right?
correct. We went all over the place, man. Uh, we went wherever we could fit in because we were being oppressed. Uh, People lost everything, and
Yeah, so can you just expand on that a little more? You know, it's like they lost everything, and people need to realize that when they have to flee their house, the Palestinians flee their houses, and they leave the country, they don't have a right of return, right? So you and your
no sir.
family can't just go back to your old neighborhood that you lived in 100 years ago and just say, "Hey, we want to come back here," right? That's not legally allowed to you,
So my grandfather
right?
had some land out there, and that land is no longer there. It's like Israeli streets and roads now. It's like municipal grounds. It's as
And
if we
did
were
they buy that land from him?
as if we were never there. No, it's stolen, all stolen.
Wow. And it's just when your family fled, they took it.
You know, as sad as it is, they just take it. That's what they do. If they don't take it, they bulldoze it. Well, sorry, they don't bulldoze it. They make you bulldoze it on your expense. And if you
Wait,
don't,
say they make wait. They charge the Palestinians to bulldoze that. I didn't know that.
they charge the Palestinians to bulldoze their own house. You heard me correct.
Wow. Let's see. Jewish people cannot be teasing Palestinians about demolishing Al-Aqsa Mosque. Huh? Oh, they're teasing about that? Oh, yeah, they are teasing. Yeah, they're teasing about a lot of things. Hey, did you see what I said in there about the background noise, Jacob? Do you hear my you don't hear an echo at all on your side?
Do you hear it? I think
Yeah,
I
I
just
am
eject.
yeah, see there's a alarm of something from a cell phone of something that just keeps beeping in the background. Like once every minute or so, and somebody in the chat said that they can hear it. So if you're actually watching right now, let us know what's up, comment, and let me know your thoughts about this. I am joined right now by Jacob Eunice, who is a Christian Palestinian-American conservative Republican, which I bet you didn't even know existed. So Jacob, let's, shift a little into just a theological discussion more so about uh, Palestinian Christians and your Christianity, your connection with God, how you view Christianity in Palestine, and what you would like to see with the future in regards to Christianity in Palestine.
Christianity is very intertwined in the Palestinian culture. It's very, very, very deep. The Palestinian culture, the people of Palestine, the Christians, they take care of some of the oldest churches in the world that are located in Palestine. You have different sects now. The Armenian quarter, the Armenians are still in charge of their church. There are still Armenian monks, Christian Armenian monks that walk the old town of Jerusalem. And you have Christians who hold the keys to some of the oldest churches in the world. And we're talking about
Oldest
real
churches in the world in
in
history.
are in Palestine, are in Gaza, are in the West Bank.
Hey, and Jacob, let me ask you real quick. Well, let's see. I can't hear the sound on IG. We'll check out on YouTube. Who do audio? All I hear is typing. Who don't you hear? Do you not hear me? Audio is back. All right, we're good to go. We're good. We're good. We're good. Jacob, I was just gonna ask you. Audio is good, y'all. Chat. Let us know. Let us know if anything's wrong. Thank you all so much for letting us know. Jacob, question.
Yes,
Where is Jesus from again?
Jesus is from Bethlehem, from
Oh,
the
where's Bethlehem again?
in Palestine.
Oh, Jacob, they do not hear you right now. Hey, let us know if you can hear Jacob. Oh, did you turn the volume all the way down?
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. We're here now. All right. We got a comment that says free Palestine right here. Hey, let us know what's up. Leave your comments here. And we are going to read some of these comments right now. Thank you all for being friendly and being respectful. You know, I don't like when people come in and trying to divide and conquer. The reason for these streams are finding ways to bring people together and break down all of this divide and conquer bullshit that certain people keep rinsing and repeating throughout history and pulling everybody into the shit show roller coaster of a storm that results in those bad behaviors. So Jacob, if you want to just continue on a little about what I was asking you about, just Christianity and the connection to Palestine.
You know, Christian Palestinians hold the keys to some of the oldest churches in the world, and they're located in Palestine. They're located in Jerusalem, the West Bank, and they're located in Gaza. These keys to these churches are actually been passed down from generation to generation. It's the same families after generation that hold the keys to these churches. This is how intertwined Christianity is in Palestine. And you know, some of the oldest churches in Jerusalem, there's one church in particular where the family that has held the keys to that church for generations is actually a Muslim family. And the reason for that is because in times of there was war, this Palestinian Muslim family was the trusted family to make sure that nothing happened to this church. And till this day, the descendants of this Palestinian Muslim family still hold the original key to that door of one of the oldest churches in the world.
And how long do you think that that's been around that the Muslim family has held that key?
About hundreds of years. There's an article and an interview with the descendant who currently holds the key. I'll send it to you. It's awesome. And this is some of the information that you're really not going to hear on the mainstream media. You're not going to see these types of things promoted. But if people got a load of the facts and what's actually been happening there for years, the perspective would change so much. I mean, it's just when we're living here in America, and we see the media and what's happening, I think, guys, think about it. If anything, COVID taught us to always question the narrative. Even if you were a complete sheep and COVID came around, it told you to question the narrative. So, what is so different now? They're always trying to push something, and they're always trying to push war. Bush, what does history tell us? The Bush administration swore there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Million people dead.
Yeah,
Million
and
people.
one could argue that was Israel's war as well.
Million people dead in Iraq and no weapons of mass destruction. And what's even more, all the loss of life is sad, but here's what's more sad to the American people is that we were actually thinking we were out going out there and doing something. I remember I was all hoorah for the war. Like, yeah, fight terrorism, you know, no weapons of mass destruction. Halliburton goes in, all the pipelines, oil, it was all about money. It was all about oil. We sent American lives. So many American soldiers lost their lives in Iraq for nothing. They thought they were fighting for a cause. They were fighting to make the global elite's pockets even bigger, even fatter. So I always question the narrative, no matter who's in office, right? So
So let me ask you, when around what year did you have your awakening to the realities of the military industrial complex and the way that the American empire is really moving? What
I
year would
mean,
you say that was for you?
man, it was definitely right after the Iraq War. I mean, that's when I started really scratching my head on what's happening because I remember being so for that. I remember believing that it was good for our country. And I just feel so bad for the people that lost their lives on both sides. It's just how can this be going on? How
Yeah,
can we send people to war like that?
and if you and in a lot of those because there was a refugee crisis that came from that as well, and now I'm seeing so many conservatives screaming about this massive influx of these people coming in from different countries. And it's like, hey, decades of going to other countries and blowing their shit up is going to have blowback to where, what you were saying earlier is, well, if all that shit didn't happen, well, my parents would have never met here and I wouldn't have been here. That's
I mean
me
that
too.
I mean
So
that could be the
it's a
case.
very interesting, uh, like a very interesting part of American history, where we're here because of the blowback of what America did to the places that our ancestors were. Right?
My parents met here.
Yeah, mine did too.
Yeah, my dad was going to college here, and met my mom. They were like 18, 19 years old, and the rest was history. So the what really sucks is, and here's also a really unique perspective a lot of people don't get to hear. Um, you know, the beautiful thing about America is it's a big melting pot, right? Everybody comes from somewhere and everybody's got a background and they come here, they make it happen, they live the American dream, and they have a homeland to go visit, and they might have a home there or relatives there, and it's like this global beautiful picture that they have painted for their life. I came from here, and I live the American dream, and they have the luxury of going back home, wherever home may be, and enjoying that with their families and their relatives, and um, whatever their ancestors have left them, they can enjoy all that. Me, I can't really do that, or to a certain extent, right? I mean, I can go back to Palestine, the Holy Land, if I really wanted to. But would I be treated the same, even if I'm an American? They won't treat you the same. The second they find out you're an American Palestinian, you're they don't want you to come back and enjoy your time there. They actually want to make it as miserable as a time for you as possible.
Have you been back there?
No, I have not.
And I'm assuming because it's probably not the easiest,
It's not.
pleasurable.
My mother went not too long ago, and she was held up for a while and questioned, and they were accusing
Yeah,
her
can
of
you explain that? Because that's a big thing that they do. Like right when you land at the airport, they'll kind of just ruin your time from the beginning, right?
Right. Well, they'll check your itinerary. They're like, okay, you only got a few days here. Let's hold her up for a few days and completely destroy whatever she's got going on here. She thinks she's going to come here and see her holy land. No, she's not. Oh, you think you're going to go visit Jesus's site tomorrow? No, you can't. So they do everything they can to make your stay as horrible as possible, and they held her in questioning for hours. Um, Claimed that she was a terrorist from Lord knows where. My mom's like, I went to Lusinger High School. Okay, I'm from Torrance, California. Do I look like a terrorist? It's so, when you actually live it and you see it, it's really hard. We can sit here and kind of chuckle about it, but it's when you go through that, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, like what essentially, what people in the world are now seeing, a lot of them for the first time, is what Palestinians have seen for decades prior, right? And now the world is getting a firsthand glimpse into just how traumatic that experience really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's even for me. Like, I would love to go back home and visit, but I know myself. If I don't want to go there and get caught up in something that I don't that's not going to be good for me. So it's it's a tough one to call. It's a tough one to call, especially right now. I have actually family members that are live here in LA that have been there since a month and a half ago, and they're stuck. They're stuck in the West Bank. Airports are closed, I believe, right? And
I mean, I know that if you're Jewish you can leave, right?
oh,
If
right,
you
right, right. They're sending me pictures from Tibet. I got some live pictures from Tibet just a couple of days ago of settlers really
because
close.
you have to, if you're in the West Bank, you have to go into Israel to go to Ben Gurion Airport if you're doing international. Is that correct?
For sure. I mean, I've never been there, but they control everything.
But that's what they have to do. So then that means that is this correct to say that they would have to get like a permit to then go out of the West Bank or something like that to go to the airport? And essentially what the Israeli government has done is they've not just blockaded Gaza, they've blockaded the West Bank as well.
I think we just went down on live.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to set it up again because it just cuts us out after a certain amount of time. But
Oh,
I'm gonna go back on, so we will hop on again right now. But yeah, would you say that that's correct? That's like they actually can't, like there is. So you're confirming that your family that is there right now,
are
and
stuck.
they're stuck. It's a siege of the West Bank as well.
They from what I heard, they shut the airports down, and there was no movement for the last few weeks. They weren't able to get out.
Yeah, because that was I was hearing that from people in Gaza that they're not even helping Americans get out of there. But this is a very important point, right? That this is not just about Gaza. They're doing the same thing, the Israeli government, to the people in the West Bank where there is literally no Hamas at all.
Exactly. They're doing the same thing, and they continue to expand their settlements in the West Bank.
Yeah,
They're
can
going
you explain that a little? You brought up like the house demolitions earlier, and you brought up that West Bank map, and yeah, when you look at it, essentially in 2023, it's pretty much parceled out to be completely disconnected if you're Palestinian, right?
correct.
So
It
can you
looks like
explain that? That's that area as well is where you have a lot of these really radical, very violent Zionist settlers that are coming into that area, right? We just heard
right.
that story, I think, yesterday about the olive farmer, the Palestinian olive farmer. Those settlers just came in and just shot him.
Yeah, yes,
So can you
I did.
explain? Can you explain that a little?
So settlers, illegal settlers, are coming onto Palestinian land and just taking it. They're armed and they're just
And what do you
coming.
mean by just taking it? Because
They
what you're, I know what you mean. You literally mean they're just taking it at gunpoint. But can you just
mo-
explain what that means when some group of not even the government comes in and just says,
correct.
"You get the fuck out of your house right now, or we're gonna fucking kill you."
That's exactly what it is, and they're even conducting like they're the police. They'll is illegal settlers, which are Israeli citizens, are armed in the streets, stopping cars. They'll rob you. They'll take your car. They'll tell you get out of your car and have a nice day, or I'm going to kill you. And they're backed. If they kill a Palestinian, they're backed by the Israeli government.
The Israeli government will come in and then protect the settlers, right?
They won't even allow an ambulance to take the person. They'll let the person bleed out
I just
on the
saw a
street.
video where they blocked an ambulance that was trying to get out, and the military cars just came right in front and just roadblocked them.
Correct.
So hey,
Um,
yeah. So if you could just join on Instagram again right now, so we can hop on to that live. Hey, what's up, y'all? If you're here right now and you're watching this live stream, let us know what's up. We are chatting today with an Christian Palestinian-American conservative, Jacob Eunice, and we are having a very, very revealing and unique conversation with some nuanced angles that I as well wanted to learn more about. Jacob, if you could join one more time. There we go.
my bad.
I've known about the whole Palestinian Christian thing for as long as I've been into this conflict, because if you meet Palestinians, let's you turn down your volume on the phone as well too on the side. Hey Jacob, do you hear an alarm, like a beep going off behind you?
Oh, that you're talking about the ring outside.
Yeah. Oh, that's how. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, is that possible to turn off by any chance? I don't know if it is. If not, it's all
I'm
good.
sure. I'm sure someone outside just heard you on the live, so they'll probably go take care of that.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, perfect, perfect, awesome.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
uncle.
yeah.
I think they're all in the living room listening to this right now. We got an
Hey, what's
audience out
up?
there.
What's up, fam? How y'all doing? Hey, thank you all so much. If you're watching this right now, please like this video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this video and this information. Let me know what you want to hear about next. I love to just talk about unique angles and try to find ways to have solutions and bring about the most efficient outcomes for the future of humanity as a whole. So that being said, Jacob, let me ask you. You said earlier you're like, I got Jewish friends. Uh, what's your solution to what you're seeing happening there? If you could snap your finger, policy position, what would you say? One state solution, two state solution?
Definitely. I mean, it's pretty simple. The Palestinian people need their liberation. They need equal rights. You cannot go on any longer treating a population of people the way they're being treated. It's the United Nations has referred to their way of living as absolutely inhumane. I mean, everything economically is controlled by Israel. Okay, they're not their own country. They don't control the air. They can't even fish in their own seas.
Yeah, that's actually just to add on to that. I talked about this on my stream the other day about how when they made this peace deal with the Palestinians, part of these peace deals, like Oslo Accords, had to do with the Palestinians still being forced to use Israel's money instead of having their own currency. So in history, the media will essentially use the angle that, oh, look, they had this sweet deal, they got their sovereignty. It's like, hey, that's not sovereignty. If you can't use your own money and you have to use somebody else's money,
It's not
then
sovereignty.
you're not sovereign, right? So, I'd say like that's such a massive part of this that's not discussed really, is that the Israeli government continues to try to keep the monopoly on the Palestinian monetary system. As a result, they're saying, hey, look, they're free. Look at these agreements and stuff. It's like, dude, that's not how this works, And they're saying, hey,
No.
why are you all still so mad? It's like, well, if you're saying that they have sovereignty and you're also saying that they don't in action, then people are probably going to get mad. And then that's why, the Intifada happened and the second Intifada happened and all these other problems after happened, because clearly people were continuing to be pissed off over decades to where these the massive inclines in violence would continue.
Absolutely. I mean, it's resistance. I mean, the Palestinian people over generations have always resisted, and they're always going to resist. The resistance is never going to stop. It's a clear indication that whatever we've been doing for the last 75 years is not working as far as lasting peace in the area. So you just have to step back from the situation and just ask yourself, are we going to continue to go on like this? Obviously, it's getting worse for the Israeli side as far as casualties. I mean, the Palestinian side, everything's the same. I mean, we've been getting slaughtered since day one, so it's like nothing's new for us. Uh, but if it's going to continue like this, the resistance won't stop. We definitely need a two-state solution. 100%.
So you think and you say two-state solutions. So do you have a year that you would prefer the lines be drawn back to, like, for example, 1967
I see what you're saying.
pre-1967 borders, post, like, where would you
That's a very good
personally
question. That's a very good question. Look, getting Israel to give up land is it's almost, I would say, impossible. But let's say
you could snap your finger and America changes policies tomorrow and says we need to draw out these lines. What are we gonna do? What would you think would
the
be
West Bank,
outcome?
the West Bank and Gaza Strip, it's everything south of that is definitely Palestine. I mean, there's going to be different perspectives on where Palestinians feel the lines should be, right? I mean, I could argue that a line should be West Bank and Gaza Strip, and others would probably argue no, it needs to be this and that. So, I mean, as far as where the line should be drawn, I don't see any clear lines but the West Bank is definitely, even till this day, you can't deny the roots of the Palestinian people, even right now. So I don't really see that going away. But with the recent change in capital, Israel changed their capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Yeah, that was Donald Trump in 2017 pushed that. So what do you think about that? Because I
Kushner.
was saying in my last stream that really inflamed tensions and a
People
lot of
say it
the
was
things we
Trump.
see.
It's
Huh?
Kushner.
Yeah, correct.
Kushner's
Well, we
behind
know who
that.
the influence was. Yeah, yeah. That's important
Yeah,
to know.
it is because I voted for Trump. Obviously, he kept the peace. There was no wars going on anywhere when he was in office. He kept the world order, you know. And when I vote American, I vote for the direct policies that affect me and my way of life here where I live. And not for foreign policy or anything that has to do with the Palestinian conflict because I'm not going to really um, gain any traction. It's all the same, They're
Sounds like you're saying America should come first.
me personally. America comes first. America comes first. Me and my family live in America. America comes first. If any threat comes to my doorstep, they're going to be met with force because my doorstep is
American style force.
so definitely want to make that clear. But the our concern really in the government isn't who's in the big seat, right? I could vote I could vote Trump, I could vote Joe Biden. Nothing is going to change as far as the benefits of the Palestinian people. We can see that clearly. Joe Biden is completely 100% ally Israel and what they're doing. And it would be no different if Trump was in there. Okay. So that's why I stand with America comes first because that's what affects me here in my way of life. But if you want to dig into that, you're digging on the right topic. I would like to go a little deeper as far as the American lobby, the American Jewish lobby is where we need to make a change and is where I look at when I'm making my decisions. The American Jewish lobby is probably the biggest influence and the reason why America, I mean, rides Israel's, I don't even want to say it on here, jockstrap.
At Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. So um, if we can have changes in our lobby and the strength of the Jewish lobby in our Congress is what really hurts.
Yeah, I mean, like APAC.
Correct. I was just gonna go there. All the support from America that goes to Israel is directly caused by those two associations, APAC and the American Jewish Lobby.
Let me ask you this question because we got a comment in the beginning of the stream
Let's go.
that was asking about thoughts on the American Christian view of this conflict and what you would say to those people, because a lot of those people just so happen Republicans, Christian conservative Republicans, just like yourself, right? But they have a very different outlook. I would say it's just based off of a lack of full spectrum information. So, what would you say to American Christian Zionists?
What would I say to American Christian Zionists? That's a good one, actually. I like this one. American Christian Zionists. It doesn't even make sense to me when you say it to me and what I understand. It's such an oxymoron to me. If Christians got a load of how Israeli Zionists would treat them in Israel, they'd run for the hills. Israel's a racist state, completely racist, to the point where Christian priest who wears his cross in the Holy Land is asked by Israeli military police to tuck his cross in. He's not allowed to walk in public showing his cross. And this is a priest we're talking about in the Holy Land.
Yeah, say that again. Say that again. Just because it sounds so absurd if you said that in America, if you told somebody to do that in America.
A priest,
A priest just
a
wearing his priest
Christian
clothes.
wearing his priest clothes, walking, having a beautiful day in Jerusalem,
minding his own business,
minding his own business, walking with a few sisters in broad daylight, and he's approached by Israeli military police, and he's asked to tuck his cross in. Can you believe that? But
I imagine the outcry if there was a video that came out in America of like a group of kids, that even just like a group of kids, not even the government, just somebody making somebody put their cross back, or any religious insignia that they have, to be like, hey man, you can't wear that outside, put that shit away, or else I'm gonna call the government on you and you're going to jail. Like, because because I don't know, did that guy put it in? Because if he didn't,
he stood his ground.
Wow, what happened?
You could see him pleading on the video. Anyone that wants to see this video of this priest, DM me. I'll send you the video. I'll find it and get it over to you. It's absolutely appalling that you can approach a priest in the Holy Land and tell him to put his cross away. It's just like a slap in the face. He stood his ground in the beginning, but obviously he doesn't want to be arrested. And so
yeah. So that's
I'm not sure if he
tucked stand your ground too hard and you're gonna go to jail.
That's what happened. And I don't know if he went to jail or not. The video was cut short, but I'm guessing he decided to keep the peace and either tuck it in or walk away. But there's also videos circulating of a lot of Christians and Catholics. Actually, they go out and they preach in the Holy Land.
Yes, yeah. So preaching is very frowned upon by the Israeli government when Christians preach. So can you expand on that?
Have you seen what happens? How Christian preachers are treated in Israel by Israeli citizens?
I've seen it. Could you explain it?
So basically, what happens is you'll have these very peaceful preachers, and they are so peaceful, even in the midst of complete chaos, and they're approached by some pretty wild people, and they just keep their cool and keep their calm. But these Zionists say some of the most despicable things you could ever say to a Christian. Like, your Jesus never came. We are God's chosen people. You do not deserve to be here. If you go and read
about Jesus in the Talmud, it doesn't say nice things about Jesus. If you believe that guy that they're talking about in there was Jesus.
Right. No, for real. And it's shown in the Israeli society. They can paint a picture in the media about Israel, but when you get these raw videos of their citizens and the way they are, you get a glimpse of the rhetoric there, how the people carry themselves there. And it's utter racism. It's complete racism. They do not like Christians preaching on their grounds, near their holy sites, or even in the streets, to the point where I saw a video of a guy tell a Christian preacher that in his book, in the Jewish book, in the Torah, it says to kill him.
I saw that video as well. I saw another one of them like spitting on Christians, or these kids were spitting on these Christians as they were walking by. So yeah, it's behavior that in America we moved past that kind of shit a long time ago, right? Or but over there it's just normal everyday life still, right?
Yeah. It's wild, man. I mean, you could just pick these little instances, from throughout history and throughout what's happening now, and you get an idea of what's going on. And Israel's on the brink of civil war out
That's
there.
also important to note too, is that American Zionists need to understand that the Israeli government isn't this cohesive, united government. They're super split and constantly on the brink of civil war themselves.
That's absolutely correct. There's a lot of Israelis that do not agree with the current administration and what they're doing. They're literally uh, some of them are okay with a two-state solution. They're all for Palestinian rights. They want lasting peace in the region. They're tired of having to live in fear. Israel's normalized this iron dome, and like Israel's like supposed to live with this iron dome for generations to come. Is that a way to live for Israelis too? You like, do I want to go somewhere and have to know that there's an iron dome here to protect me from a rocket? Oh,
Right, I
because
think
there's an
that's really important to note
oh
as
oh
well,
because
is
there's
that
an there
it makes Israelis less safe the more aggressive their government is, just like the more aggressive the American government is, the more blowback Americans are going to have to deal with. So even if you are the staunchest Zionist, it's like it's kind of in your best interest to chill out or recognize that continuing to push on what you're pushing on is going to result in blowback, and that blowback might not be very friendly to you.
I mean, just think about it. Israel has some of the nicest beaches in the world. You go to Tel Aviv and you go to these spots. It's like Santa Monica. You got beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there it is.
I just pulled it up right now, so let's I haven't watched it yet, so we're all just gonna see what it is. Let me pull this up real quick right now.
Can they watch this on Instagram Live?
Not on Instagram right now, but
and it's inappropriate for this place. Okay,
he just pulled up the video for us
there's a
right now.
Jewish place. Can you please put it inside? This is very
I'm
harsh of
respecting
you.
your religion.
I'm respecting
No,
your
you're not.
religion.
You're
No,
not
you're
respecting
not.
my
You're
religion.
not
Please
respecting my
stop
religion.
taking
Can you
You're,
please
you're
put
not
it?
respecting.
See how
You're
they're just
using this
asking
for
him
my
to
human right
put
to,
his cross away?
No,
This is.
not
They're
okay.
saying it's a
I'm
provocation.
This is my dress. This is how I'm dressed.
I tell you to do something with your dress code. I tell you to do something with your cross.
The cross is part of my dress code. I'm a
Wow.
Roman Catholic abbot. This is
I'm
how
a
I
Roman
dress.
Catholic.
So
That's
you
how I
want from me
dress.
that I'm not dressed as my faith.
Wow.
How I should dress.
That is
really big and it's inappropriate for this
Unreal.
place. Okay,
yeah.
Unreal, right?
Yeah, that was let me close that real quick. That was yeah, so they're saying it's a provocation. A provocation to what?
So is someone's yarmulke a provocation? Is a Muslim garb a provocation? You know where all these things come that they're stemmed from the Zionist ideology, Zionist agenda to divide the people in the area, to make the people that are of non-Jewish faith not feel welcomed in the area. I mean, that's basically what it is. They literally want, how can you call yourself a democracy, but you want all Arabs and Christians and Muslims out of the country, and you want it only for the Jewish people? How's that a democracy?
So, that's important too, is that Americans often, I think that they think that the
Believe,
Israeli
yes.
government is structured in the same way that the United States government is. And it's just not. It's a completely different structure of government that Americans would not accept. Actually, if America tried to push a one dominant religion government, this was actually a debate that the founding fathers had, was that there are a bunch of different religions in America. We can't declare this as just a Christian nation when there are all these other religions, and we got to fit them in and make sure everything works out. And back then, the founding fathers of the United States realized that. So, it doesn't matter what the religion is to me. For me, a system of government should be one that can essentially not promote one group over the other, where individuals are essentially seen as the starting point, not their group. So awesome, that's good. All right, so we're going to be here for about 15 more minutes. Let's read some of these comments real quick and see what everybody has to say. U.S. is on the wrong side of everything always. Stop bombing children and give people basic health care, for fuck's sake. Yeah,
Wow.
it's
that?
just one of the comments right here in the Gram. The audacity of these Zionists needs to be checked big time. We got a comment from South Bay Auto Collusions Inc. It says, Jacob, we just lost you on the Instagram. If you can join us back over there. Let's see. Row over here. This is a fiery comment from Row over here. Let me get Jacob back in here, and then we will read Row's comment.
Perfect.
Let's get you in here. Let's see. I think Israel signed its own demise with this. Hey, a lot of people thought Russia signed their own demise with Ukraine, but I guess we'd be surprised to find how resilient states are, unfortunately, a lot of the times, right? So I was just gonna read this comment from Roe over here. It says, exactly, Zionism is literally the Jewish version of ISIS. They have the same purpose: to terrorize, ethnically cleanse, splinter, and sow discord among the people of the religion. I think you mean region. Yeah, so let me hey, there's an echo in the background that I hear coming out from me to you. Is that possible to
Can you hear it now?
No, sir. I do not think I do. We got somebody asking. Gianni asks, how are you, Jacob? How are you doing, Jacob? No one thought Russia signed their demise with it in Ukraine. Yeah, I do hear that. I hear the echo in the background a little bit. I think it's the phone. So if you could just move the phone a little farther back from your computer microphone, that would be really helpful, because something did come through. It's funny because somebody said no one thought Russia signed their demise. A lot of people thought that. They were like, oh, that's it for Russia. Yeah, did you hear echo, Jacob, when I talk?
Yeah, I'm trying to eliminate that for you.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Let's see. Meant to put region. I got you, bro. I know. Awesome. All right, so lost you there. You know what? Actually, we're just going to cut Instagram right now, and then we're going to finish off on the other streams, because that's why if you're on Instagram right now, you should follow me on YouTube and Rumble, because that's where we finish streams off. I love y'all. See you soon. Wait, gotta end that real quick. All right. Oh, yo, Jacob.
Yo.
All right. Perfect.
Can you...
That echo was there the whole stream, but hopefully it did not pick up too high. All right, so I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you what you think of my solution, my government policy solution to this before we.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to hear. You have a policy solution. Let's go. I want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking you one state, two state, because as an American, this is pretty much an American problem, right? It's an American problem.
Americans could stop it right now if they want.
Any second that they decide, right? Us.
Correct.
Any second that we decide. So
they could just pull the plug on this whole thing, save so many lives, but unfortunately, we're not there.
Yeah. However, I do believe that we can get there. I believe that over the next few decades, we need to get more men into American politics who are strong men and confident men, and men who are skilled in great violence, who are also skilled in great peace. Because to know great violence is to know great peace. So I wanted to ask my policy position if I could snap my finger, write a bill, and then this is what would something that has been tested, so not some theoretical, hypothetical, that I would also have as well, but just realistically government policy tomorrow, what would it be? I believe that a one state solution that is within the boundaries of what we know as Palestine. So that's Israel and Palestine today, right? Just break down all those borders, and then it's just one state within those borders. The government structure would be abolished on all fronts and replaced with a US style constitutional republic system that is premised off protecting and defending your God given natural rights. And from there, you build a government, and they're Jews, Christians, Muslims, whoever else, doesn't really matter, because just like in America's Congress, your religion's not really the important factor, right? Like,
Right.
oftentimes people will be like, "Oh, this guy's this religion or that," but it's not really like you don't have in American. You're American, right? You're all American first. When you have these the people in Congress, at least we like to think so. But it's not America's government is not led by religion. And I would even say for example, the north of Israel and Palestine, Lebanon, not to say that Lebanon is the best example of a government, but they went through a civil war, and they had to figure out a system of government that brought together Christians and Muslims and all these different sects of people, and they figured something out. So my solution would be an American style constitutional republic system, and they could have the self-determination after that, because in America we determine how our Republican system works and evolves. And for example, our republic system today is more of a blend of democracy and republicanism. So, I like to say that if you start at the base place that, of the American Bill of Rights, for example, and the system, where the system's base premise is protecting and defending your God-given natural rights. Like we don't have a right to the Second Amendment. I have a God-given right to self-defense. As a conclusion to that, the government protects that God-given right via writing it in the Second Amendment, right? So that style of government. So what do you think about that? Because I don't hear that solution. I've never heard anybody say that, actually, except myself.
That's I think I can agree with you there. I've never heard anyone say that but yourself. Very, very unique outlook. I like it. I feel like it's a longer road than other solutions that could just kind of we can quickly create some other solutions. But the solution you're talking about, I like it. Why? Is because it has to be built on the premise of complete peace between all people.
Yes.
And we've lost that in 1948.
Yeah.
Prior to 1948, we had the Holy Land was a very beautiful place. The Palestinian culture was very rich and intertwined with Hebrew culture, with Christian, Islamic culture, thriving. There were souks, marketplaces, airports, agriculture. Souk are like malls and shopping places. You could still go to
like a bazaar or something.
Yeah, you can still go to some original Palestinian souks in Jerusalem today. Some of the probably the only ones you'll see there today, and who knows what's in store for the last true Palestinian territories that are still out and today.
Yeah, so
They're
can we let's kind of finish off on that, on like what the Palestinian Christian community is there today. Is that they're about 1% of the population, whereas
correct.
they used to be a much higher percent of the population. So, you said you still have family there, but there aren't that many Christians left, and the Israelis may achieve their goal of getting them out fully. And
Right.
that's one of the things that Americans should really recognize, is that the first group that's really going to get screwed over in this whole ethnic cleansing of that area is not the Muslims, it's the Christians.
Christians.
Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that because we're such a small minority. We're very weak. We're living in small villages.
Only a few thousand left. I think in Gaza before October 7th, it was about
Right.
1,000 people left. Now, after the church bombing and God knows how many
almost
have died,
300.
that number
I
is
think
probably
almost
under
300.
1,000 now.
Mhm. Yeah, it's the situation for Palestinian Christians in the area is definitely not the best, and they're people that are dedicated to their land and their culture and their story. They're tied to the churches and the history and essence of what Palestine and what the Holy Land really is. People think when they're visiting the Holy Land that this is Israeli Jewish culture. They're very, very mistaken. When they're there, they are on Palestinian ground. It is Jewish culture there, but this is Palestinian culture all around. I mean,
Yeah, and
even
you
down
said
to
what the Holy Land really is. What is the Holy Land really?
the Holy Land consists of some of the holiest sites for Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And they're all so close to each other, literally like the Wailing Wall and Al Aqsa Mosque, the two holiest sites for both religions. I'm talking Islam and Christianity. Are what separates them is literally like a wall. And we can get into the whole Al Aqsa Mosque is a whole nother dive because we're talking about what's the future for the Palestinian Christians in the area. There's new maps, floor plans being built for Jerusalem. I mean, yeah, they moved the capital from Tel Aviv over to Jerusalem, but there's also new floor maps that are being introduced as to the new buildings and new settlements and the new Jerusalem that is yet to come. It's like a 25-year plan on reconstructing the capital city. So we're going to see what settlements are built, what lands are taken, how many Palestinians are going to be displaced. There's a lot of Palestinians in that.
What do you mean for those who don't know about the future outlook of what the Israeli state is looking at for Jerusalem's future?
There's going to be some big changes. The biggest one, in my opinion, in actuality, is going to be for the Muslims. They plan to remove Al Aqsa Mosque because the Jews
the Israelis want to remove Al Aqsa Mosque.
They want to build a temple, Solomon's temple, right in its place.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And it's important to note that Hamas, one of their reasonings was prior to October 7th, they were giving warnings and saying, if you keep going at the Muslims in Al Aqsa Mosque, we're going to do some shit. And then they did some shit, right?
Right, because they storm Al Aqsa Mosque and they don't allow anybody to pray during the most holiest of times for that religion.
They'll go in while the Muslims are praying, and then they'll start beating the shit out of them during the middle of prayer.
It's the most despicable thing.
Could you try any harder to inflame tensions? But that's the thing. Once you realize the policy, you see that that's part of their policy to inflame tensions. And then when there's a response back, then they get to say, hey, look, you see, gotta bomb these fools now even more.
It's really sad. I mean, imagine if Muslims stormed a church in Iowa and stopped these people from praying and beat the shit out of them with batons on Easter Sunday. Because that's what they're doing.
That was actually somebody said in the comments about, they said what happened in Easter in Jerusalem last year.
We're gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Probably something violent and fucked up,
Probably
right?
somebody violently messed up. Yeah, they probably stormed. I think they stormed a church or something, right? They did it in the church. I remember something like that happening the same way they do to the Al-Aqsa Mosque every year during Ramadan. These poor Muslims is just trying to get their prayers in during the most holy time for their religion, and they can't even do that.
Yeah, and the difference between the Christian community there and the Muslim community, like you said, is that when it happens to the Muslims, they have a voice. When bad shit happens to the Christians from the Israeli government, you post about it, and then the comments, like I was telling you, Jacob, I was like, I saw this comment that was like, there are no Palestinian Christians. It's like, damn, you all actually think that? You think that there's none? Because they don't have the voice there is so stifled, and the divide and conquer has made it like this Jew versus Muslim holy war when it's not that at all, right?
They make it about hate, and it's really not about hate. It's about the oppression, and it's about the liberation of the people. It's so important to spread that message. I mean, when I tell people I'm Palestinian and then they hear I'm Christian, it's just, you just see the glitch right away. They can't believe that that exists. So when we spread the information and we let people know the truth about what's been happening in the area for years and how the people are living in those conditions, it'll start to wake people up as to who the real terrorist is. Palestinians have been dehumanized and almost synonymous with the word terrorist since October 7th. And I'm here to tell people that Palestinians, both Christians and Muslims, are beautiful, peaceful people. They are not a people that wish hate or death upon Jews or Christians. We are people that don't have a voice, who just want our basic rights and our freedom. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
I don't think that's too much to ask for either. And I don't think that Americans understand that Palestinians are looking for specific basic human rights that they're just not being granted. And the propaganda works in a way where they act as if they are granting those different rights, but none of that's actually happening in reality. So it's a lot of lip service. And then Palestinians are still saying, like yourself, you'd love to go back there, but, and that's the ultimate issue, is that you got a dude right here who's literally saying, I would love to go back where my ancestors from. I can't. But if you're white European American Jewish person, you can go
for free
today and get yourself a citizenship. And the Israeli government pays people to move there. And where do
they move?
Those settlements that Jacob was just talking about earlier.
They will move them into Palestinian homes.
Literally. There are videos of this too. Can you just like touch on that a little? Like, they're just like, hey, you're leaving, and then they just move you into the home. And the indigenous person who was there for the last hundreds of years that you can trace back is like homeless now.
You could be holding a deed to a plot of land while Israeli settlers are moving your stuff off the land, throwing it in the middle of the street. They'll put an Israeli flag right outside your window. Some
person with like an American accent, full American accent,
Brooklyn
not from
accent.
that place at all.
Oh yeah,
right?
You ask these people, where's your grandfather or grandmother from? They'll start pointing to Poland, Austria, Germany,
Russia, America.
Russia, and they can't even, they're first generation back, in Israel after what? And the thing is, we never had any issues with the Jews coming in. We never had any issues. And there are great Jews that still live there amongst Arabs that want to see the liberation of the Palestinian people.
Yeah, actually, I've been seeing that a lot.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yes. What is it called? Torah Judaism. That there's a page on Instagram at Torah Judaism, where it's just a lot of the videos are coming out of the West Bank, where they're living in those neighborhoods, and they'll put up like Palestinian flags, and then the IDF comes and fucks them up, and it's wild to see their resistance to the Israeli state, and they're constantly protesting, saying things like Judaism is not Zionism, we're not Zionists, we don't believe in this Israeli state.
Rabbis, there are Jewish rabbis in America that do not want the massacres that are happening in Gaza right now to be happening in the Jewish name. They denounce it. They actually, in the Torah, it actually says that the aspiration of the Jewish people to aspire to have their own sovereign state just for the Jewish people is actually forbidden. That's why it's in a political agenda. It's not a religious thing. That's why there's a difference between a moderate Jew will tell you there's a difference between Judaism and Zionism. And Zionism is essentially the aspiration of wanting the Jewish state. That's what it is.
It's a political aspiration, not a religious aspiration, right?
Yes, it's a political aspiration. And any moderate Jew will tell you this is forbidden. And the reason why it's forbidden, you need to read the book of Revelation, and the equal books that will be in the Quran explain a lot why these good rabbis will tell you it's forbidden for them to aspire for an Israeli state. I'll leave you at that. That's probably another conversation.
Yeah. Hopefully we can
do a little part two.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you got to go, so we are going to finish this off. Thank you so much for your insights tonight, Jacob. That was an absolutely epic conversation.
For sure.
Before we go one more time, please let everybody know where they can find you and where they can get themselves some custom jewelry if they want to reach out to Jacoub the Jeweler in Los Angeles by any chance.
Jacoub the Jeweler, I'm right here in Los Angeles. You can set an appointment with me. You can DM me in my Instagram. I do appointment only,
which I'll have in the description as well. If you want to check out Jacob's Instagram, I'll have that link in the description of this video.
I'm Los Angeles based. I ship all over the world, and I'll make you anything you want. I appreciate your time here, Amir, getting me on here and sharing my story with everyone, and using your platform to spread awareness about conservative Christian Palestinians in America. We exist. We are here. And we want to see a free Palestine. And we want to see that wall built.
All right.
Trump 2024.
There we go. All right. So Jacob's final comment is free Palestine, build the wall, Trump 2024. Is that Jacob's final thoughts?
That's my final thoughts right there. Free Palestine and build that wall on our southern border. Trump 2024.
All right. So, thank you so much for your perspectives and everything. Like I said, that was phenomenal. If you're watching this right now and you want to see more and you have any comments or questions, leave them down below in the comments. Give this video a like. Subscribe and follow, and share this with your friends. If you haven't done so yet, please check out the sponsor of this video, which is myself and my company, Specker, at speckerhealth.com, and you can get yourself some real awesome health products that I personally formulate myself. Check out the new Specker Health Assessment, and check out the Specker Library, where you can read summaries of scientific studies on ingredients health, and lifestyle. Hey, I love you all. And just a quick thing is that the entire point of this video tonight was not to divide and conquer more.
Correct.
It's to do the exact opposite and break the generational cycles indeed and come together as one and unify as humanity first. And of course, America first too. But that's the
100%.
whole point, is that the conversations that we should be having on these types of hotly contested topics should be one where we're talking about the full spectrum, focusing on solutions and focusing how to break the cycles of violence and divide and conquer so we can all come together for the common goal of peace, love, and the whole universe as one. God bless.
God
I love
bless.
y'all. I'll see you
Love
soon.
you.
Peace and
Have a good one.
love.
Peace and love.
Ah.